Midnight music. Midnight music. Midnight music. Midnight music. Midnight music. Midnight music. Midnight music.
All right, we're good to go. Like it. Speaking of you and McGregor, so I don't know if you know. No, me and you and McGregor are best friends. That's a total lie because I would not be in the position that I am right now in life if I was friends with you and McGregor. Uh, no, I'm going to New York Comic Con this year.
Oh
So
shit.
my first ever con of all things. By the way,
Yeah.
why it took me this long, I don't I don't know. But here I am. So one of the guests, I'm also going all 4 days because I'm a maniac, and I just want to take time off of work.
It's your right, and it's totally fair. It totally makes sense.
It also makes sense because when you're encouraged by your boss, who is also a giant nerd, and will also be there all 4 days for Comic Con. So it kind of works out for me. So one of the guests of honor, because you know how at every con there's there's like the people that they're gonna highlight this year. So
Oh,
this year is you and McGregor.
Ooh.
as
Now I'm
well
jealous.
as Chris Evans.
Ooh. So you got Star Wars and Mark. Ooh, damn. That.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So
Now I'm
I'm not
super
gonna meet
jealous.
them at all because their like autograph and photo ops sold out like the first day they became available.
Oh,
They're also like 300 some odd bucks. I was like, that's a lot.
yeah.
But there was an opportunity, as I'm learning, because every con they have panels. We're just a bunch of random panels about random stuff for the most part. And so two of the panels they were going to do spotlight panels on like Ewan McGregor and Chris Evans, and they sold out immediately this morning when I was going to do reservations. However, because I'm trying to do like the full con experience, I was able to get into a panel for Archer, like the show Archer.
Oh, shit. That sounds amazing.
So apparently they're doing some sort of like exclusive screening of like something from the final season of Archer because it's on its final run.
Oh,
With
shit.
some big surprise. What I was upset that I missed out on. I missed out on a couple of them. They were gonna do a screening of a new Goosebumps, which is coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the
The original. Oh
preview
yeah,
for it.
I missed out on that one, but I also missed out on the preview of a new season of Futurama that they're finally coming out with.
Shit, that's right. They just came out with their new season. That's right.
Yeah. So, but fortunately for me, my boss got into the Futurama panel, but her fiance didn't. So she's like, "I'm just gonna give you my pass to get in." I was like, "Thank you." Yeah, no, I'm very excited for this Comic Con. Obviously, because it's like my first ever experience doing a con, and the hell else I'm going. And then I also got to do the list of people that are available for autograph sessions is unreal. Like, have you ever been to a con, Nate?
I have been to quite a few of them. Up
I
here,
was about to
we
say,
have
how
like,
are they in the Midwest?
honestly, they're really good. There was one for, I think it was like a Madison, Milwaukee Comic Con,
Mm-hmm.
where I got to meet some people that were living in the Rockford area, where I get to do a lot of my comedy skits. But I also got to meet Eric Stewart, the guy who voiced Brock and Seto Kaiba, which I thought, holy shit, one of my childhood here. Yes, yes, sign me up for this thing. And I found out that he also has a band too.
Really?
And yeah, he's a really good singer. I got his album. I'm like, oh my gosh, I
It's
need
like
this in my
Jeremy
life.
Renner is actually is a recording artist as well.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, man.
The shit that we learned. But also, C2E2 is the big one that's in Chicago, and
Yes, I know about
that's where I
C2E2.
got. That's where I got some of my infamous pictures with people like, God, who was it? Darby Allen
Nice.
and MJF. That was funny.
Oh, that's when
because
MJF was still in
I just
character
wrote-
and he was like cursing you out, right?
No, that was Starcast.
Mm.
But C2E2, that was the day after he beat Cody at the Revolution show. So
Gotcha.
he had the little scar above his head,
Yeah.
and he just seemed kind of out of it. He looked at me, and I had one of my replica belts, and I was just standing there like completely like I hate this guy. Wardlow's meanwhile just standing there looking tough, and MJF looked at me. He's like, "Oh, did you earn that belt? Did you earn that belt?" I said, "Yeah, I did." And that was the conversation. It was the most awkward conversation with MJF. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. I still got to talk to the dude.
Yeah,
He's
so
cool.
listen to these photo ops that are available. I have not bought yet because I'm waiting for a credit card to clear because I shouldn't be spending money, but hey, whatever. Adam Cole is available.
Shit.
You probably know her because I know you're a big movie. You know Ashley Eckstein?
Ashley
She's a
Eckstein.
big voice. She's a big voice person, like a voice actor.
Wow. The fact that does not ring a bell. That if you say one of the shows that she's a part of and I know what it is, I'm gonna be.
She's the original voice of Ahsoka Tano.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
That makes me sad.
Yeah.
Which is funny enough. I'm still watching the last episode of Ahsoka that just came
Last
out.
night, I won't
Yeah,
ruin it for you, but it's an interesting episode.
I think I'm about halfway through,
Okay, yeah.
but that'll be for after the show.
You can't have Adam Cole without Britt Baker because she's there. FTR is going to be there. Trikwudi Iwoji is going to be there.
Ooh.
Yes. He is a fantastic actor, but no one really knows. Like, people know him, but you never know what his name is.
Of course.
Yeah, he was in Peacemaker. He's High Evolutionary in the most recent Guardians movie. David Tennant's gonna be there, which is pretty freaking awesome. Dan Guerrero, James Arnold Taylor. Who else? John Carpenter. Like, yeah, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Karen Gillian, Katie Sackhoff.
Karen Gillian. If she wasn't married, I'd be chasing for her right now. I would want to win her heart.
I mean, I say the same thing about Katie Sackhoff. So like pretty much almost all of the Guardians except for like Star Lord are all gonna be there. And you can do like a group photo with all of them, which is pretty crazy. Catherine Newton, Kathy Najimy, one of the Hocus Pocus witches.
Ooh.
Yeah, Katie O'Brien, who's becoming a big deal these days. Lateef Crowder. It's a very interesting pickup. And of course, Ewan McGregor's wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, aka Ramona Flowers, is also gonna be there. Let me see who else is there. That's interesting.
Somebody posted like a photo of Ewan McGregor with his wife and I think one of his kids in the Star Wars universe. And I'm literally just like, you know what? This is totally awesome. The fact that we have a Star Wars family within a Star Wars series. I don't care if it's a Star Wars movie, but at least it's in the Star Wars.
Yeah, Ewan's wife plays the live action Hera.
Yeah. She does a really good job too.
Yeah, she got better as the series has continued. Obviously, the greatest wrestler of all time, Mercedes Varnado, is going to be there, and I will lose all my money getting photos and autographs and authenticating that autograph, nonetheless. That's where most of my money is going. Michael Rooker is going to be here, which is pretty awesome. MJF I can see on the street somewhere. Orange Cassidy. Palm's going to be there. Sean Gunn, because, again, Guardians. This is where it starts getting really fun. Rob Paulson. Ron Perlman is also going to be there. The voice of Miles Morales, Shamik Moore. Yeah. Sting, because Sting doesn't know when to just go home and go to sleep.
No.
Here's a great one, too, that are also going to be there. Susan Sarandon. And the icon himself of any generation, Tim Curry.
Oh, damn, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Also, it was a last minute addition, but he was instantaneously sold out. Tom Hiddleston.
Well, can't really say I blame them for that. Holy crap.
Yeah. Then you have a bunch of like the different, like you can do group packages. So like you can get a group picture with Team Better Than You, baby.
That's good. That's gonna be a hot item.
What's the group Team Better Than You, baby going for? Even though I don't want a photo with them for 150, that's actually not bad. Let's see. There's a team of what actually X these people. There's the Critical Role cast is going to be there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's see. The Guardians cast, all of the Mandalorians, because you got Katie Sackhoff, Mercedes, and Simon Cassiandes. Essentially, in Mandalorian, the guy, Bo-Katan's right hand who kept getting his ass beat. Yeah, that guy.
Okay. that guy.
Yeah, I'm just like, what are you good for? Because you're not good for anything. You keep losing every time you fight. Axe Wobbs, there it is. It's Axe Wobbs. There he is. That's his name. You need to team up with them. There's a good amount of stuff. Like I said, I'm very excited for it. I'm also excited for the fact that as you're watching, or whoever's watching, please tell us that you're here. I really enjoy the fact that they have New York Comic Con is so big, as you know. They have their own freaking app.
Really?
So like in the app, I can literally create my own schedule of like the different events and stuff. Hi, frets. Um, I can essentially activate my ticket on there. I can have all of my reservations. It talks about it shows me all the featured guests when they're showing up. Like it's pretty much everything. I can literally like create my own schedule of random things to do throughout the whole day. And I can see the different panels and the exhibitors and reservations. Like it's all crazy stuff here. And there's a map, which thank God, there's a map to get around Javits. But I'm really excited for this.
As you should be. I
Yeah,
mean, going to a comic book convention is legit one of the best things that you could possibly do.
yeah. No, there's crazy stuff, and and it's New York Comic Con, which I know the only thing bigger than that is San Diego.
All right, so Ricky, I'm going to send you a quick little photo here on
What you got
Discord.
for me?
This is well, you'll see.
Let's check this out. Let's see. Oh no, don't open that up. But whatever.
Don't open that up. That's for after the show.
Not even. I remember. I've seen this.
Well, yeah,
I remember
but
this photo. Yeah.
she's an absolute sweetheart. Britt Baker, one of the 10 ladies that got flowers throughout the entirety of the. I think it was like second Star cast that I went to. Yeah, which my God, that was a wrestling convention in and of itself, and the fact that they don't do it as much anymore is sad. But also with the whole deal where they're going to possibly do like a show every month, like WWE does, it's understandable that they probably don't want to do that at every show.
No, it should be. Well, number one, AEW has to define what their WrestleMania is because I don't think they know. It seems like it's all in to me. To me, it seems like it's all in since they're doing Wembley with their inflated numbers, just like WWE does.
Right.
But if it is all in, if it's going to be at Wembley, that is kind of a slap in the face to the American audience. But whatever. But I get it. But then Starcast should be only at All In. Like WrestleMania only has access, like traditional access, not just and at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. You know, they do superstores all over the place now because the superstore concept is freaking brilliant. A one-stop shop to get all of your merch. Yes, duh. That's like you do that all the time. But access has to be its own special thing, like it is at WrestleManias.
Absolutely. Um, I think when they did like the big four for them, which was All Out, Double or Nothing, Full Gear,
Revolution.
and Revolution. Yeah. I mean, at least they did Starcast, I think, only for like the All Out show, which you could argue could be the other
Was it All
WrestleMania
Out that was
because
the first one, or was it All In that was the first one?
All In was the first one that they did the Starcast for. Because I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, that was. I think that was the one that I made. I went to like the viewing room area for that one, and I got to sit next to Gail Kim and Lisa Marie Varon, Victoria, which
I
even just for one match, that was
have
awesome.
pictures with both of them. Victoria is one of my favorite people I've ever met in the wrestling world. She's
She's
flipping awesome. God, I met that was at WrestleCon in New York.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because she's the photo
That,
of me and she's like choking me out.
that's right. I remember that.
Like she's freaking awesome. Big fan of Victoria. Love how Trish did the Widow's Peak.
She did that, and then she did like the whole like grabbing of the hair
Hmm.
afterwards. I was very like, oh my God, that is one of the best callbacks you could have in the women's division.
Oh
Jeez
yeah.
Louise.
They didn't do a Connor cast for Forbidden Door, unfortunately. Didn't they do appearances at Forbidden Door, Frets? Like, didn't they do, like, meet and greets? That's like AEW's thing. I know we're doing a meet and greet right now, or they were doing it before Grand Slam.
Maybe they did. But, oh, do you remember those, the virtual meet and greets that WWE did for a while during
I was
quarantine?
smart. Kayfabe had one with Jeff.
I had one with Finn and one with AJ.
How's that?
Finn is a really, really down to earth, really nice guy, and AJ is just as pleasant as you would think that he would be.
Yeah,
I remember I asked Finn about that whole shoulder deal that he had at SummerSlam, and he just talked about how it was just like instinct that he was able to put it back in because I guess he did it with his other arm in the Indies scenes like years prior.
Oh, wow.
So it was, yeah. With AJ, I just told him like, dude, I've been following your career since like TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, blah blah, blah. And it's just been awesome seeing you, dude. And he was just like, dude, the fact that you listed all those in sequential order is amazing.
The sequential order is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that actually is pretty awesome. I met Finn on the streets in New York City. He is absolutely a fantastic human being.
I randomly ran into Lita and Trish. Well, actually, I wouldn't say run into. Basically, they were looking for a taxi, and I was just kind of waiting for my Uber. I just kept passing by them until finally I was just like, "Hi, Trish. Hi, Lita," and they're just like, "Oh, hi." And that was it. Yes, Nate has a weakness, and it is two hot women that could kick my ass.
AJ in WCW does not count. Everybody knows that, Freds. Get out of here with that nonsense, Pretzi. That is kind of funny. AJ in WCW.
That was like, what, 2 appearances?
Something like that. He was an enhancement talent for the most part.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. If you're an established name, then it counts.
I mean, AJ was also an enhancement talent, I think, in a couple of WWE matches, like early on in his career.
Well, he's in big time in WWE now, so that's where it more counts.
Yeah. Now that's like his official debut. I definitely get that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also tomato, so.
Excuse me. Yes, very, very true.
We're just talking to beef, everybody. Get in on the chat. Get in on everything.
Oh, yeah, so, Frets, we were going to the PWI 500 before the show, and this is clearly a message to you. And your friend, he dropped the S.A. Rios. How'd that turn out for S.A. Rios? Anyway, Frets, your friend Nate over here is going to the PWI 500 because we have the full list, thank you, Progress Wrestling. And he's like, who's this guy, Big Beef? And, Frets, so you want to educate Nate here on who Big Beef is? Please.
Just like he had to educate me on that city that was technically Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, 37 miles out, it's not Toronto.
Hey, for us in America, that's what makes sense. I mean, if I'm 37 miles away from Madison, I'm not technically from Madison. So.
Yeah, seriously. I do. That is kind of a gripe of mine. To be completely honest, when people, because I also know that it's a very Long Island thing. So, like, Long Island people are very proud of the town they're from. Yeah. But I know other people, like, for instance, because I went to school in Maryland, and people would be like, who are like from South Jersey or what have you, be like, oh yeah, I'm from Philly. I'm like, you're not from Philly. You're from South Jersey. Those are two different things. Stop saying you're from Philly when you're from South Jersey. Yes, I know you can easily get to Philly, but that does not mean that you are from Philadelphia.
No. That's like the whole thing with like, oh, you're either from New York or from New Jersey. You can't be in both.
Seriously.
Just because it's one hop.
Yeah, don't say you live in Hoboken and say, oh yeah, I live in New York. No, you don't. You live in Hoboken. Like nice.
I wonder who that was a reference to.
Nobody in general, to be completely honest with you. I was just using that as an example. I have had great times in past years in Hoboken. Great times in Hoboken. Love the place.
I had some great pizza in Hoboken, so.
Yes, there we go. Here we go. Fretz goes, okay, Big Beef. Indie wrestler, Gnarls Garvin, which is his name on Instagram, by the way. Trailer Park Boy kind of gimmick, which is true. And Fred said sponsor his match when we sponsor that show. He recently appeared on Ring of Honor. I do remember seeing seeing something about him appearing on Ring of Honor. Yes.
Well, that dream match may have gone down the toilet. If he gets signed with Ring of Honor.
Well, he did a match on Ring of Honor. Okay, that's not the same.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's like, again, saying that you're from Philly, but you're actually from South Jersey.
Seriously, it really is.
This is gonna be the running joke throughout the entire show.
It's one of my pet peeves. Just say where you're from. Why be upset about that? That's just me, though.
Where's the common sense? Just like, where's the beef? Oh, he's in Ring of Honor. Okay.
If you go on Instagram, he's Gnarls Garvin. I think it's his real name on Instagram. So he's a pretty chill dude. He had a good match when we did that Limitless Wrestling show. Okay. Yes. Say from Toronto and really Oshawa. I know that difference there, frats. I traveled up that godforsaken highway system of yours. I know the differences. Shout out to Peterborough, by the way. Oh my god. All right. I think we're almost ready to go on this, essentially a cold intro, which I'll put in the music in post, because I'm going to be up editing a video and audio all night, which is going to be great.
Well, good for you, King Ricky.
You probably passed my hometown on the way. Yeah, I was on a mission those 6 or 7 years ago when I was up there. So you're probably right. Was I focusing on the town names? No, I was focusing on only one town name. And thank God my GPS switched from like miles to kilometers, which I didn't know it could do until I got into Canada. Automatically switched to units of measure. I was like, wow, this is really simple. So, pretty cool stuff there. Well, yeah. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, we're going to get this thing going. And I can't wait to fiddle with the audio later. All right, let's move over. We're going to do that. Okay. All right, folks. We're going to get this going in 5, 4, 3, 2, and... Coming up this week on Kings of the Rings podcast, WWE knocks it out of the park with UFC. AEW tries to take it to the max with a Grand Slam. The Shield somehow remain on top. Nia is jacked up and back, and Becky is bringing NXT to the big time. It is going to be a total Annihilation this week's show with my friend Nate, the effing great, on episode number 354 of Kings of the Rings podcast, exclusively on Wrestle Addict Radio, and it starts right now. Hey folks, funny story. So my co-host, Kayfabe, isn't here at all, and Willie T somehow said he had another more profitable opportunity than this highly profitable show known as Kings of the Rings podcast, exclusively here on Wrestle Addict Radio, live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us, by the way. So I was in a little bit of a bind. With hours to do before the show, and I couldn't go another week without doing the show because there is just so much stuff to talk about. And so I needed someone to join me on this venture into the total annihilation that has been the last 2 weeks of wrestling. And I didn't need just someone, folks. I needed a great one, and I found a great one all the way in Wisconsin, even though T-Pain calls it Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me this week, the host of the Brace for Impact Wrestling Podcast, exclusively on Wrestle Addict Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, Nate the effing great. Nate, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing very well, and let me just say, it's great to be in the presence of one King Ricky Rose.
Ugh, music to my ears. Music to. Do you want to do this show more often, Nick? Because seriously, my co-hosts are totally the most unreliable people in the world. At this
Well,
point.
to be fair, one of them is at Grand Slam, which, to be honest, that's fair, especially when you got a cheap ticket. The other one just went MIA for some odd reason.
Apparently, as an opportunity, who knows? I'd listen. I should just shake up this whole show. Not gonna lie to you, I should just totally just say, just totally throw the table over. Be like, you know what? We're just gonna do it. We're gonna do it over. Pencil in me next week, Fretz. Fretz, you're always gonna be penciled in. Someone who won't ever be penciled in is obviously going to be Mr. Slack, because reasons. Totally reasons for Slack never to be on this show. But Nate,
You Slack, F you, Slack.
yes, we know where Nate stands. So, Nate, how have you been, my dude? It's been a while since you've been on the show. So, what has been going on in your world?
Honestly, it's been really crazy, Ricky, because ever since I've been on the show, I've actually gotten into the wrestling realm of actually wrestling, and I've gotten a chance to work in front of hundreds of people. I've got the chance to work in basically my own backyard, which was absolutely amazing.
So, wait, you wrestled in your own backyard?
That was a way long time
okay.
ago. I'm talking like not too far from here. But essentially, it's like the whole, how people have said like, "Oh, we get to wrestle in my hometown, my backyard," that kind of backyard.
Gotcha.
So that kind of way. Um, but I mean, besides that, just continuing to enjoy a lot of the greatness that is early day TNA. There's some deals that you've heard on the Brace for Impact deal that have been kind of unbearable. Also, F you, Vince Russo, for ruining so many things. Trust me.
WCW being one of
The
them.
fact it's funny because there's been so many times where I'm like, holy crap, they're actually doing another Fire Russo chant at this match. The latest one being AJ Styles and Frank Trigg in like an MMA style matchup. And it was only like 3 minutes in, people are already just like, this is bullshit. Like they started chanting, this is bullshit. But yeah, just getting the chance to work with so many of the great people of WrestleAddict Radio. And I think, actually, isn't this the first one that I've been on since I've returned? to
I
WrestleAddict
believe it
Radio?
is your first one since your miraculous return some odd years ago. So yeah, well, welcome back officially to the show. Since you have returned, you took a little bit of a hiatus, which is obviously me and you have talked about it. You came back. Glad you're back. And it seems like you're having a lot more fun this time around.
Yeah, honestly, I think that there were just a lot of things that were different when I first started the show. I think that I didn't really have a better appreciation for what I had with WrestleAddict Radio. But now that I come back, it's like, okay, now I understand how things work around here. I understand how I need to, not overstep my bounds, which I'll admit there were a couple times that I did
Growing
that.
pains.
But yeah, but it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, just need to know if there's something I need, just talk to the people, let them know what's going on. And if there's like days where unfortunately I can't record, I've always talked to you about it. And you've always been really cool about it, where it's just like, dude, it's totally fine. Things happen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, getting the chance, and it's just been really good. Like I said, getting the chance to talk a lot about TNA, but also getting the chance to also talk with you guys. And I still love the fact that we do our Discord chats during the deal. I think we've done 2 or maybe more than the last year.
We've done
I've been a part of at least
several.
2, and,
yeah.
But the 2 that I've been on with, you, Fretz, everybody else on the deal has been just so much fun. Especially if I can make some of you laugh when I bring out the Stone Cold impression.
Honestly, one of the greatest impressions I've ever heard. That Stone Cold impression is absolutely phenomenal.
So I want to tell a little bit like a funny story about
Go
that.
ahead.
So randomly through the WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, I just started doing this Stone Cold impression. I think it was when Cody had Roman in the figure 4, and I just said like, "Oh man, it's a figure 4 lock. I gotta tap out, son. I gotta put this move over. It's a sacred move," or some shit like that.
Something like that.
And
It was hysterical.
But it just kept like snowballing and snowballing and snowballing towards like, okay, this needs to be a regular thing. They really like this. So if you ever get a chance, you guys definitely try to find a way to join the Discord service. It's a lot of fun, especially when it comes to big PLE events. I can't say pay-per-views anymore.
Yeah, no, you're never going to say
That's-
pay-per-views in like a year from now and everything like that. So, but yeah, if you do want to join our Discord at all, the link is in the description below. We'd love to have you. You have a great time. We talk about everything under the sun, not just WWE or AEW, literally anything wrestling related and then some. We have a channel for it in our Discord, so please join us. The link is in the description below. But let's get into it right now. Speaking of AEW, as we are recording at the moment, AEW is putting on their Dynamite Grand Slam. Something that probably should be a PLE or a pay-per-view, but we're just going to waste this great, unique venue and experience on TV, which is a dying brand in the first place. However...
Like Tony Khan.
Yeah. However, things might change, number one, but number two, this is a pretty good card. Okay, top of the card, MJF, AEW World Champion, versus the winner of the tournament to crown the number one contender, the King of TV, ROH Television Champion, Samoa Joe, going for the AEW World title. We also have Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor Champion, versus the NJPW, I think it's a strong champion, Eddie Kingston. Title versus title there, by the way. Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara, because we need an undercard. John Moxley versus Rey Fenix for the International Championship. And Saraya versus Toni Storm, the Outcast are breaking up already, for the AEW Women's World Championship. So this is a great card. I'm not going to lie. I'm interested in 4 or 5 of these matches, which to me seems like a good card. What are you thinking of this card here, Nate?
I do agree with what you said. This feels like it should have been saved for a big show.
This should be a big show, but yeah.
But it's not. It's going to be taken on free TV, which means, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get a lot of false finishes, kickouts,
and
like
commercial breaks.
Oh gosh, picture in picture, one of the greatest things that will really annoy you.
It's true.
I will say that Saraya versus Toni Storm is probably the one I'm most intrigued by, just because this is probably Saraya's only her third singles match. I want to say.
Really?
I feel like she hasn't really wrestled that much. That's the thing, is that I know she did the one with Britt Baker. Mm-hmm. She was in the 4-way Lynn. I just don't think she's done any tag matches or anything like that. I don't remember her doing it. I know she's done a lot of stuff at ringside, stuff like that. Toni Storm is killing it with her current character.
She's she's a TikTok legend. She's essentially like golden age of Hollywood girl, right?
Yes, and it's absolutely amazing. It started with the fucking shoe.
It came totally out of left field because she was a part of the Outcast and they were kind of trying to be this badass group, and now Tony's is she on her own now?
It feels like it, and honestly, I think that's for the better, because I feel like Toni Storm has been on a roll in a weird way since she's been on AEW. I think she just needed to still find her stride, where it's she's a great wrestler, just she needed to find that one character that people are either going to get attached to, or just really find a way that it's going to be okay, what can we do to really make her over as a character? And this whole deal where she just goes on a rant, and she's Hollywood, as you said, golden age deal, and she always ends a lot of her deals by throwing a shoe at the interviewer, which started with Renee and it continues with Renee, and it's one of the best things I think I've ever seen.
The Rock had Jonathan Coachman. You always find a backstage reporter that you can use them as a muse. Byron Saxton's a perfect one as well. And you can find somebody to kind of mess with, to elevate your character. The Rock was legendary for it. You use it. And I think she's gonna. If this is gonna get over, this is how she's gonna get over. Just throwing shoes at people, because wrestling is ridiculous sometimes. But be it as it may, let's do a quick rundown, because I didn't want to harp on this too much, because obviously it's going on, and I'm assuming Frets will probably update us in live action. I'm just gonna go through real quick. MJF somehow survived Samoa Joe. I'm totally biased here. Eddie beats Claudio just because I need that rivalry to go somewhere. I actually don't care about Chris Jericho and Sammy. I couldn't have Saraya drop, and I can't have John Moxley drop. I think the title change is Eddie winning in New York, because it's his birthday, too.
Oh,
happy birthday, Eddie.
So I'll agree with Soraya. I agree with Sammy and Jericho. It's like, oh, hey, this is one of those things where we need the undercard. We'll just move that out of the way. Uh, yeah, Moxley's not dropping the belt. Although somebody actually had a really cool idea of having Moxley drop the title to Ray, and then have Ray drop it to Tenosuke Takeshita, which I think Takeshita should have been the one to actually be Orange Cassidy and not Moxley. But at the same time, Moxley's been a workhorse for the company. It makes sense.
If you're gonna elevate this
I do agree
title
with
to
Eddie
being
King-
actually like secondary title, which is what it should be, Moxley's the better choice.
Fair enough. That is fair. I do agree with Eddie Kingston. But I will say, I think that Samoa Joe is going to kill MJF and take the belt from him. I think he's going to be 2-belt Joe again. Maybe he'll actually say, like, Ring of Honor TV title. Yeah, we're just going to put this off to the side. I'm just going to be the world champion.
Honestly, give Samoa Joe the world title. I actually that's fine. I think MJF's title reign is getting a little stale. And it's being very convoluted because he's holding a tag team title in a different company that also Tony owns and Adam Cole. Like, there's a lot going on with that. To the point where I'm like, you know what? He's a pretty good act. Give it to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe deserves a world title at this point. He really does.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say true world title. It's like, oh no, he's a champion in TNA as I'm still recording.
Exactly. You should know this. You're the TNA guy.
That's true. He should have been Universal Champion at one point, but no, they couldn't let Brock lose. No. They need to do that whole deal with Brock and Roman. Anyway, that's it. Big it up. Ancient history. We're moving on from that.
Oh, hey, Sir Charles. How are you? Greetings and salutations to you. So let's move.
Woo,
Yeah, what
Charles.
up, Sir Charles? All right, let's move on from AEW Grand Slam. The results will be ruined for us by the end of the show. Moving on to breaking news that came out this past week, or past weekend, or past last weekend, actually. The Royal Rumble, the annual event that kicks off the road to WrestleMania, is coming to Tampa Saturday, January 27th, in 2024 from Tropicana Field, a.k.a. the Trop, a.k.a. that really, really weird stadium that the Rays play in, that field. Yeah, former site of one of the former pandemic sites that WWE used when they did the empty arena and they did the virtual fans and everything like that. I forgot what he called it. I'm totally blanking on the name of it. There we go, Thunderdome. Yes, one of the former sites of the Thunderdome. So very interesting that they're choosing Tampa, but I enjoy it. I like it. I'm kind of. I will tell you this, Nate. I'm kind of inclined to go because I was supposed to be in Tampa before the pandemic hit. Like, I had a huge, me vacation that got set up and that the pandemic ruined. This also included Disney World and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Like, I had a whole week planned out and potentially a picture with Mike Tyson. And none of that happened. Okay, so and that was in 2019, obviously, when the world ended. So I'm inclined to go to Tampa. I probably won't go to Tampa because things are expensive. But I enjoy the Rumble nonetheless. And so the big question here is, Nate, are you going to Tampa for the Royal Rumble?
So I will say this, with everything that's been going on with all the hurricanes that are coming through, I'm going to be surprised if Tampa is even, standing after this year is over.
You'd be surprised.
I will say, yeah. But all jokes aside, to everybody that's still feeling the effects of all the hurricanes that have come out, thoughts and prayers to you guys. And I actually do have some family that are down there that unfortunately did get affected by that. So thoughts and prayers to them as well. But unfortunately, I will not be able to make Tampa for this Rumble. I'm still working out a couple of things. So unfortunately, not quite there in idea. But I will say that Royal Rumble is on my bucket list of going to that show. I've gone to a WrestleMania. I've gone to a SummerSlam. All that's left now is a Survivor Series and a Royal Rumble. So,
well, I mean, Survivor Series is in Chicago.
That is true. So it could be on the list, but also Bound for Glory is in Chicago as well. So
I don't know. I did Survivor Series in Chicago. Again, that was actually right before the pandemic hit too. Because Will and I drove to Chicago in the heat of in the cold of the night. But Chicago's fun.
I was gonna say, isn't Midwest wintertime travel?
It's
so
horrible.
Much fun?
It's so windy. But I will say, Chicago, lovely place. Survivor Series, we had a fantastic time. But I'm very surprised you've never been to a Rumble. I recommend going to, like, outside of WrestleMania, I think the Royal Rumble is the second most entertaining show of the WWE calendar. It is so much fun.
No, I
And
agree
I
with
got
that.
spoiled. Like, me, myself, Will, and Dave got really spoiled because we went to the first ever Women's Rumble in Philly. Yeah.
Shit, so you got to see Ronda Rousey.
That Rumble was fantastic. That was also the same weekend of Takeover Philly, where you had the 5-star classic. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Andrade and Johnny, I believe, was the 5-star classic match. So no, you can spoil stuff for us if you have breaking news for us. But I will say, Royal Rumble weekend is fun. If you can go, you will have a ball, an absolute ball. So I highly recommend anybody going to Royal Rumble. I always want to go to a Royal Rumble if it is feasible for me. But yeah.
Yeah.
So very. Oh, we have a new champion already in AEW. What do we got here? And new who?
I'm
It's
guessing they
it's
made-
definitely not Samoa Joe. So quickly.
They kick off the show with Joe. And it's like, well, we got your money. We might as well just give you this.
Oh, it is Eddie Kingston. Eddie. There we go.
Hey!
Congratulations and
Eddie!
happy birthday, Eddie Kingston. Good job. I am.
And he gets to celebrate with his mom at ringside.
It's about time we gave Eddie somewhat of a relevant world title, even though it's just Ring of Honor, but what have you. Anyway, folks, Royal Rumble happening January 27th. Save up now. Make it to Tampa if you can. Great time. Great time.
Also, can I just say this before we move on too
Mm-hmm.
much from Eddie? He really should have been. This is his reward for all the times that he basically knocked the hell out of us.
Yes, very, very true. So let's move on to this. One of our, pretty much the big thing that happened over the past couple of weeks is that WWE and UFC officially merged with each other under Endeavor Group Holdings to now form the TKO group, actually called TKO Holdings Group. They went public on the New York Stock Exchange, opening huge to over $100 a share. They are valued at about $21 billion as a company. Okay, so it is absolutely bonkers what they've done. I'm going to read to you some stuff coming from the Hollywood Reporter about the merger in and of itself. They're looking to do at least close to like 24 billion in revenue. Let me see. Endeavor also expects growth in domestic and international media rights for WWE and UFC, as most of them are up for renewal in streaming platforms. So that is something to really keep an eye on. And Jesus, the merger creating TKO will secure about 50 to 100 million in annual operating synergies. So the cost to put on all of these events are also going to be looking into, in particular here, doing shows with each other in the same cities on the same weekends. Yeah, think about that there, Nate. Yeah, they're thinking about literally essentially just taking over towns and cities with a UFC event one night, WWE event another night, which is kind of wild, and I'm going to be interested to see how they're going to pull that off. Some interesting stuff here as well, as I'm looking on. The hierarchy of this group is going to be a little bit kind of wild, because the hierarchy is something that's going to be pretty interesting. So here's how it goes. Top guy in TKO is going to be the CEO of Endeavor, Ari Emanuel. He's the one that got the job done. He's going to step into a CEO of TKO while also keeping the title at Endeavor. So he's going to be a CEO of two separate yet groups, essentially. Endeavor, by the way, includes talent agencies WME and the likes of IMG. So WWE Executive Chairman and majority shareholder Vincent Kennedy McMahon will now become the Executive Chairman of TKO Holdings. So it goes Ari Emanuel, Vince McMahon. Okay, that's how it's going to go. You are then going to have Mark Shapiro, who is the president who's the president and COO, Chief Operating Officer will be the president and COO of Endeavor and TKO. All right. Dana White will be the CEO of UFC. Nick Khan will no longer be the CEO of WWE. He is going to have a new title, President of WWE. So let's break down that hierarchy a little bit more now, just to let everybody in the loop here. Ari Emanuel, top dog, CEO of the whole damn thing. Vince McMahon, number 2. Okay. Under Vince, you have the COO and president, Mark Shapiro. Under Mark Shapiro is Dana White. Okay, and then a level under that will be Nick Khan. That's the hierarchy of TKO Holdings. So, if you want to make a really big funny of it, Vince McMahon is now Dana White's boss.
That's true. God. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah, seriously, let that sink in. So it's some pretty interesting stuff. So with TKO being formed, Endeavor is going to own 51%, the controlling interest of the group, and the rest of the 49% will be given to the existing WWE shareholders. So if you invested in WWE a couple of years ago and kept that stock, your stocks just shot through the roof, by the way, and you probably made a killing. On top of this other stuff coming out of the Hollywood Reporter article, there's also some talks about the media rights, especially with WWE's SmackDown and Raw's media rights coming to an end very, very soon. It is going to be a pretty huge deal. On top of that as well, we have to really also mention that when a merger occurs, so this was big news over last week, when a merger occurs, when two companies come together, this is business we're talking here, folks. When two companies come together, people are going to lose their jobs. Because what happens when you have two similar companies that run very similar businesses, when they merge together, you're going to have a couple of people who do the same exact thing. And so it becomes a collective group with the people who are doing the merger to really, really come together and figure out who are we going to keep, who are we going to let go, and also give a severance package to. Because it's not that person's fault that, in particular, they're out of a job. It's because of the merger, and you can't really just let them go without, giving them something to live off of while they find a new job. So the report came out that a lot of WWE people in the WWE offices and the business stuff, well over about 100 or so, are no longer with this new company. Because the idea is that, from what I've read, the idea is that TKO, aka the people in TKO, will be operating in the business side of it, will be operating WWE and UFC simultaneously. Which is crazy to think about, in my opinion, but that is the idea. So there are a lot of people that did lose their jobs, about over 100, but I do know that they didn't just lose their jobs and leave with nothing. Some of them, I know some people resigned, like the chief financial officer of WWE, who made $5 million once the merger became official, and then all of a sudden just decided to resign. Wonder why. So there's those things to really look at. Vince does not have a creative control. Vince is on the business side of things. Vince does not have creative control. Stop trying to be a mark there, Frets. I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. So yes, WWE and UFC are one. They're going to be running shows together. Going to be not running shows, probably in the same town together. There's a lot of stuff to break down here, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And so, Nate, what is your thoughts on all of this news with WWE and UFC essentially creating a super company?
So, I'll start with the whole releases deal because, like you mentioned, there were a lot of people that unfortunately had the same exact job. And obviously, somebody who has either a little more experience or somebody that has more know-how of what they're doing, they're going to be the ones that are going to be more prepared
And
for the
before you
job.
continue, Nate, real quick, I
So,
do want to say that this does not include the on-screen talent. These releases were all
right.
people office, not office, but people running the ins and outs of the operations of WWE. Not this wasn't on-screen talent.
Right. They have not mentioned that. There are some people that say that there might be something coming along because, I mean, WWE has been long overdue for a spring cleaning in a
Mm-hmm.
while. So that may be coming for all we know. Um, but it's one of those things where, like you said, merger happens and cuts are going to happen. So it's not one of those things where it's like, like people should be shocked. It was going to happen. Uh, as far as overall thoughts for this, I think honestly it's a great move because you have two companies that seem like they are completely different, but kind of run the same way in a weird way. One's more sports entertainment deal, and one is more of the realism side, where they're literally, you know, I mean, both of them have one same common goal, and that's they're just beating each other up, all for a leather strap with nice shiny stuff on it. I mean, it just makes sense in this. The hierarchy, the fact that Vince McMahon is number two, I will say this, that with his health in question sometimes, I don't think it's going to be that way for
Yeah,
long. I mean, I'm not wishing anything on Vince McMahon. I'm just saying once you get to an age, you're going to slow down. You're going to start having issues. We've learned that for so many things, including people in politics. I'm not going to be too political, but I have seen politicians who have actually shown their health
yeah,
deals while they're in a press
yeah.
conference. And it's
It's very
scary.
scary.
It's one of those. So I'm more concerned about, is this going to be the same way with Vince McMahon? Is he going to be in a press conference talking and then he just freezes? Is this going to happen with him? I'm scared for that, honestly. Are we going to see him have a heart attack while the press conference goes on?
I do believe that
Um,
Vince will be very. I believe the Vince McMahon character that we have come to know and loathe will no longer be a visible presence within WWE. That is my taking
and you
from it.
know, and honestly, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. He's done enough for the business. I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what? We've had a lot of people that have, put a lot into the business, and there's only so much that they can do. So honestly, Vince, just take your ball, go to your office, and focus on that one. Have, from what I heard, your son-in-law Paul Levesque be the creative guy. Let Nick Khan, I almost said Tony Khan. Jeez
Ron
Louise, that would
Khan,
have been
yeah,
a nice
Ron
Freudian
Khan.
slip. Have Nick Khan and Paul Levesque have them focus more on your company because they're still doing
They're doing
good.
great.
They're still doing good. I mean, some of the things are still repetitive, but at the same time, that's okay because you do need something that's going to take the place of, the bloodline since it's kind of fizzling out. You need something that's going to help take over for that. And if it's the Judgment Day,
Yeah,
why
no,
not?
the WWE is in a great position. I think you said it best. You have two companies who do the same thing, and now we're essentially the same thing. And now we're going to work together. They're going to share ideas. They're going to make a boat ton of money. I don't expect people to cross over. Like you don't expect Conor McGregor to just randomly show up. Like it might happen, but
No,
don't actually expect him to do anything. Not with the gimmick he put out on social media the other day.
I see them more being like they're in the crowd
Correct.
or something
Yeah.
like that, not like actually in the
Yeah.
ring. My only concern also with this whole deal where they have one show on Saturday, one show on Sunday is that WWE's done a really good job with having shows on Saturday that if they're the ones that end up doing Sundays again, that might hurt the revenue just a little bit, just because I think more people liked the Saturdays than on the Sunday shows.
I
But
agree.
I could be wrong.
I enjoy me Saturday night wrestling. I think it's perfect. I don't know how the UFC thing's gonna go if they ever decide to do weekends together. I'm more excited for the TV rights deal because now they're a package deal. They are
That's
literally a
true.
package deal. I mean, UFC currently has a contract with ESPN, which has done wonders for them. WWE obviously a contract and all of that and that massive library. With Peacock, but it's also a possibility that they can just say, we're just going to do our own streaming service. They have WWE has the streaming service experience because it created and this is not even me being biased. This is just a fact of life. Yeah, that they created the
Yeah.
greatest streaming service ever in the WWE network. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. They sold it for $1 billion, and I don't blame them whatsoever. But it was a perfect setup. And could you imagine if they did something similar to that and just added UFC content on top of WWE's massive library? That's a no-brainer.
It makes sense. No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I do also want to make this joke. Since the company is TKO, does that mean that the TKO finishing move is going to be the most protected move in the business?
Only if the Big Show was still around. Only if the Big Show was still around. So again, congratulations to them. This made me really want to invest in stock into Endeavor Holdings, not TKO, because little known fact, the Endeavor Holdings stock is a lot cheaper than the TKO Holdings one. Yes, a lot cheaper. So investing is always a good thing as well. And so WWE UFC merge. What are they going to do with the first show? What's WWE going to do with the first show, first official SmackDown after the merger? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to bring in Pat McAfee and The Rock to destroy social media and ratings and your eardrums with one of the biggest pops I've heard in a very, very long time. The Rock literally came out and shocked the world, which shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody, because he was already in Colorado to make an appearance, go completely overtime, tell Austin Theory that he's a giant asshole, and have the whole crowd tell him.
That return
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And have
great.
all the fans say that as well for a raucous 5 minutes, and give a people's elbow in one of the most socially viewed clips of the year was The Rock returning with Pat McAfee. What a moment! What a great time! Did you watch this live, Nate?
I unfortunately did not get a chance to watch this live. I got the chance to actually watch it when it came available,
Which is rather
on
quickly, by the
YouTube.
way.
Yeah, no kidding. Geez Louise, just again, I think we talked about this before the show. It's like I don't know if I've heard a reaction that thunderous since Mankind won the world title back in 1990.
8 or 9? Yeah, I think
98.
it's 98.
Wow. Somewhere around the time, yeah. But it was one of those things where it should have been a dead giveaway when Pat McAfee said, "This isn't your show. This is the people's show." But people are just kind of like, that's kind of funny. Wait a minute. And then his music hits. It's like, oh shit, he's here.
Seriously, yeah, no, Pat McAfee had a horrible lead-in. Like, it was kind of a dead giveaway, but it was still it's still a shock. It really is. It really is still a shock. That was the finger poke of Doom. That's really funny. Thank you, Freds. It was still a shock to see him. It's not a shock to see that The Rock is in great shape because The Rock is in great shape. It's scary that he's in such great shape, but The Rock's in great shape. It's interesting to say that because earlier on in that day when they were in Boulder, a couple of hours away from Denver, on the Pat McAfee show, surprise, surprise, it was always going to happen. The Rock revealed. This is one of the biggest things that happened last year. The Rock revealed that he and Roman Reigns were supposed to main event WrestleMania 39. That was locked and set in stone. The only thing that took away from it, or about the reason that they went away from that, in my head canon, it's because Cody Rhodes got hot. What The Rock said, because The Rock says everything, The Rock said they couldn't find a way to make it make sense and make it mean something, which is probably absolutely correct, But The Rock did also hint, he's like, I am available for WrestleMania 40 in Philly. So my question to you and to our lovely listeners here, especially you, Mr. Fretz, do we see The Rock and Roman in Philadelphia?
That is a really good question because I said this before we went on the air that Cody should be really concerned about this.
Everybody should be concerned. It's the freaking Rock.
I mean, yes. Rock's back. Everybody should be concerned. But Cody's the one that I really hit the most because A, I'm a big fan of Cody. Love him. And B, because his whole entire deal has been finish the story. and we just need to have that story finished. It should have finished at WrestleMania 39, but unfortunately it didn't because they think that Roman Reigns would be a better fit for the company than somebody with a neck tattoo, which was too large. But that's neither here or there.
Reasons also being the merger that just finally got finalized. Remember, after
Yeah.
WrestleMania, the next day they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're merging." I was like, "Okay, this makes sense."
And then they merged the one title, and then they had a new world title that was made later
Also
on,
known as the
which
Shut Up
I've also
Sub Heels
said-
World Title.
That actually is what it is. Honest to God, if Samantha comes out just like it's for the WWE, shut up! It's the World Heavyweight Championship. I will say she's the greatest ring announcer of all time.
She's getting there. She's getting there.
She's getting really there. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the story has always been there, and it's one of those things where it's like you have it in your hands. Why not finish it? And the only way I could possibly see it maybe getting finished is that maybe they could have Rock and Roman at Mania, but Cody takes the belt off of him at Rumble, which I know is a big gamble, but at the same time, Rock and Roman does not need to be for the title. We don't need to see Rock getting another world title run out of this, if that's the direction they're going.
Yeah.
It's something deeper, and not all stories need to be about championships. They need to be something that has a good story behind it and have some deep meaning to it. And the one that's been about this has been, it's about being the tribal chief. Honestly, Rock was tribal chief for probably the longest time. Now Roman Reigns is like, well, now I'm the tribal chief. It's a battle between the two. You don't need the belt. Just put the two in there. You got your money.
Fred brings up a good idea, but I didn't think of. Because Roman also needs to be, at this point, a Roman Reigns title match is a big deal. And Cody's ascension to winning the title that his family has never won is also a big deal. And I still think you do not prematurely put the belt on Cody at a Rumble, especially not at Tropicana Field. Not that setting. Oh my God, that's horrible. But anywhere but Florida, pretty much is what I say all the time. I do think that at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the final match on Sunday of WrestleMania 40 is Cody Rhodes holding that WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship with half of the pyro in all of the United States going off. That should be your final shot.
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree. I feel like that has to be. However, there are 2 nights of Mania, and there's something that no one's ever done is main event both nights of Mania. Roman and Rock can main event night 1. Be it a non-title match, I think it's a waste of the world title, but no one cares about Seb's title anyways. But you know,
But Ricky Gunther needs his title moment.
Listen, the actual booker in me says Gunther Seth world title main event night 1, Roman Cody Universal Championship main event night 2. However, you have a box office, financially speaking, a box office megastar, and someone who clearly still has pull in the wrestling world in The Rock, and he's clearly in phenomenal shape, that he could main event night 1, and Seth and Gunther can open up night 2, maybe? You know, listen, if it's gonna mean something, I like the story of who's the real head of the table. Rock doesn't need a title. Rock can say, I don't want the title. I just want to prove to you, but I'm still the head of the table. So that's how I think you get Roman, night 1 against The Rock, non-title. Cody versus Roman, night 2. Roman can still win one night, and Cody can still get his story. And Roman still makes history as being the guy to main event both nights of a Mania, which has never been done before.
That would be good. Although, and this is just me personally talking, I feel like that would do a disservice to whoever wins the Rumble for the women's side.
That is also true.
I mean, they've been shafted so many times. I mean, the toss-up for this past year between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the Usos versus Charlotte and Rhea. You could have gone either way, and it would have been totally fine with whichever one would have
Yeah.
main evented. So I would say that as much as I would love the idea of Roman main eventing both nights, I feel like Rhea has earned that WrestleMania main event, and she should headline night one. And whether that is, against Becky, whether that's against Bianca, whether that's against whoever, I feel like Rhea's the one that does that. And people are going to be asking, what about the WWE women's title? Honestly, Rhea's the one person right now I see that deserves to be in the main event WrestleMania right now. Maybe have Rhea versus Becky, Rhea versus Bianca. There are people that you could put in that match, and it would be great.
Yeah, no, you're.
It's just Rhea fill in the blank.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. The thing with the WWE still doesn't have a good handler, but a better handler than most other companies. The women's titles have to mean something. When I say mean something, it means there has to be a story behind it. The thing that hurt Charlotte and Rhea, the only thing that hurt them leading into Mania is that there was no real story. There was not as good of a story investment as was KO and Sammy, which naturally deserved to main event that night. Rhea and Charlotte were in kind of a bind where they're like, we really don't have a story, but we're going to kick ass in the ring. And it is one of the best matches in WrestleMania history, bar none. Like, gender notwithstanding, that's an unreal match.
But I will also say this, that's WWE's
It is.
fault.
It absolutely is.
To steal a phrase from Bailey, ding dong, there was a story there. Rhea and Charlotte fought at WrestleMania. Yeah. Rhea wants her win back.
Yeah, no, it is a total creative folly, and it's a giant creative folly in the wrestling world, because wrestling writers and creative people don't know how to write for women. They've shown that time and time again. And it's a shame. It's a shame, because there's a way that you have to craft a female-led story, which a lot of writers have a hard time doing, because they're not females. Like the reason. All right, here's the thing: the reason Otis and Mandy's love story got over so well is because a woman wrote it. It's why it got over so well, because a woman wrote it. It was fantastic. They ended up releasing her, which was a shame. But that's the reason it got over well. There needs to be diversification in writing rooms, especially in wrestling creative rooms. There needs to be a diversification of genders and experiences, and that's how you create these good stories. Be it as it may, again, The Rock potentially at Mania, you'd be stupid not to book him in something. Yeah. Even if he hosts it, hell, have The Rock be the special guest referee at Cody and Roman, and then you set up Roman Rock at SummerSlam, which, by the way, that's a no-brainer as well. Roman Rock SummerSlam is crazy, absolutely bonkers and wild. But let's move on. Let's move on from that, because we've talked about The Rock and the People's Champ, because you can hear about him all the time. But let's talk about the 33rd annual PWI Top 500. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, essentially the Sports Illustrated of professional wrestling, comes out every year, twice in a lifetime. Shut up, Fritz. That actually that was the John Cena and Rock bill, because The Rock was special enforcer. Anywho,
Rhea and Charlotte did it.
That's true. Anyway, the PWI Top 500 for 33 years running, they put up a 500 list of the top overall wrestler in the world, gender notwithstanding. They have expanded in the most recent years of doing a women's list as well as a tag team list. But for this year, the 33rd annual PWI 500, The Shield, the group known as The Shield, featuring members Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, when one night only Kurt Angle, all dominated the PWI in 1, 2, and 3. Seth Rollins being the number 1 rated wrestler in the world. Roman Reigns, number 2. Jon Moxley, number 3. And closing out that top 10 as well, Gunther, the current and record-breaking Intercontinental Champion, at number 4. Vikingo Vikingo, as a short form name is called, at number 5. MJF, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and he thinks he's better than you, and we should know it. At number 6, Kazuchika Okada. Number 7, Orange Cassidy, former AEW International Champion and longest reign ever with the international title. At number 8, Josh Alexander. I think it's Impact Wrestling, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate. At number 9. So very good for Impact and having somebody in there in the top 10. And Adrenaline in his soul, Cody Rhodes at number 10. If you want to look at the top, all the 500, you can find it online. Couple quick things about the PWI 500. Their criteria goes from July of the previous year to July of the current year, so July 2022 to July 2023 is kind of a grading period. They go on the basis of wins, losses, championships held, and quality of matches, just to name a few. Hence why Seth Rollins, rightfully so, I believe, is just number 1. Roman at 2. John Moxley, kind of surprising at 3, but it's very interesting to see the Shield in the top 3, still dominating the wrestling scene as per PWI. There are some pretty interesting stuff on there. Carmelo Hayes, number 13. Dominic Mysterio, 94. Apparently Dolph Ziggler wrestled, and he's in there somewhere. Chad Gable at 338. The big shocker for me when you're going through the top 10 is that MJF, being the AEW World Champion, is ranked lower than John Moxley, who's the international champion. So your AEW's highest accolade is lower on the list than essentially a secondary title, which is very fascinating to me, and that says something about that. But Nate, what are your thoughts on this PWI 500 when it came out? Because it just came out literally like over the weekend or something like that.
So it's crazy because we went through this entire deal before the show started, and we joked about how there were all these random people that had like 3-letter names or some that are just food. Like somehow
shout out to Corn Dog, by the way.
Cheeseburger. Corn Dog was on. Corn Dog. Oh God, who was the other one?
Cheeseburger. Somehow still wrestling. All these other people.
So many of these random people that were on there. But as far as like, I'll focus more on the top 10. I had some disputes about some of these. Like Orange Cassidy, I thought maybe should have been maybe a little bit lower. But at the same time, you did bring up the points of quality of the matches as well as their win-loss record. And Orange Cassidy was on quite a roll for there.
Huge run as the international champion. Run.
No kidding. As far as, the deal between MJF and John Moxley, I thought to myself, well, that's actually a good point, but wait a minute. John Moxley has had more matches than MJF throughout that time because MJF during that time was still a heel, so he was only doing like big time matches, I think. And whether it was like only like once every few months or something like that, anytime MJF was in there, could he go? I mean, you have to remember this dude had one of the greatest Iron Man matches of all time with Bryan Danielson,
but continue.
Of all people. But fair enough. This guy has definitely he definitely deserved to be in the top 10. The fact that he's in the top 5, I'm okay with that. Vikingo, actually, weirdly enough, he was actually in the news where he did a dive and he actually landed on his hip. They're not sure if he might have fractured it. They think that he might be out injured for a while, but it was actually during an episode of Collision, which
he had a collision.
He had a collision with the floor, obviously, and the floor won. But as far as like the top 10, I think it's a fair list. I mean, looking at a lot of these, some people you would say like, oh, this person should be higher. This person should be higher. You have to remember, like Ricky said, it's from July of last year to July of this year. Anything beyond that, that's probably going to be for the next year list. So the fact that I saw Chad Gable as low as he was, even though he had great matches with Gunther, he's probably going to be higher next year.
Yeah, he should be.
I'm hoping so because Chad Gable is fucking amazing. Anyway, it's a very interesting list. And just seeing all these names, they're like, wow, this person actually wrestles. Oh, this is actually a person that wrestles. Okay, this. And also it gives me some ideas like, oh, I kind of want to wrestle this guy. I kind of want to wrestle with the Beef. I kind of want to wrestle with Corn. I also want to wrestle with. Can we put out a petition to have Banana versus Cheeseburger?
Seriously, that's a match I'd travel for. I'm not gonna lie.
It's healthy versus unhealthy. Wait, no, that's me. That's to me.
Listen, a cheeseburger can be healthy with the right ingredients.
That is fair. That
Yeah.
is fair. Yeah, no, it's a fair list though. Honestly, kind of shocked that it's the Shield that are in the top three, but at the same time, those are the three guys that have been kind of like pillars, no pun intended, for wrestling. Rather, when you talk about wrestling, you talk about John Moxley, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Like you talked about John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Brother. I'm not going to mention his name because he's a big fat liar. Randy Macho Man Savage. You get the point
Yeah.
I'm talking about. But yeah, no, it's a fun list though. It's just one of those things where it sparks debates, and there's some people that are going to have stupid opinions, and then there's some that are going to have good quality opinions. Those that are just like, well, I think this guy should be hired because they had this match, they had this match, they had this match. Like, okay, that's a fair opinion. Instead of be like, well, this guy. PCO, he should have been ranked higher because he is PCO. He's a dead guy that is really awesome.
Keeps dying for some
that's
reason.
A good
Like it's
I don't fully understand PCO.
No one understands PCO.
So it looks like it's a gimmick that works.
PCO doesn't understand PCO. A couple of things here. Remember, it's the PWI 500, so this includes every person, male or female, or any gender that they identify in between. This is an overall list. This doesn't so this includes everybody, and the highest ranked female is not Mercedes Moné, which I would have made her number one regardless of anything. Not Britt Baker or Saraya or Toni Storm or Bianca Belair, which to me, to not have Bianca on this list is something that I would contest very much. Not having Becky Lynch on this list, something I would probably contest. The highest rated PW does have a female list, but the PWI 500, friends, I will argue, is the list that everybody likes to go by. But the highest rated female is Masha Slamovich from, I think, Impact. Is that correct, Nate? Masha Slamovich, the highest rated female at number 15.
That is insane. But that is awesome, too. Like I said, she should have won the title at Bound for Glory, but that's just my opinion. But also the fact that I looked at this list and I don't think I saw Jordynne Grace on there. She had a pretty good run from July to July. But
Jordynne Grace, big fish, small pond, so much.
Hey, if I would have, there's a picture of me getting a headlock from her. She probably could have popped my head right off the shoulder.
She is scary big.
She is like the right way. If Scott Steiner didn't, juice so much, I would have imagined if that would have been what Scott Steiner would have been Jordynne Grace.
Yeah, no. So it's very good. I mean, Impact Wrestling overall had a very great showing on this list. Josh Alexander being in your top 10, Masha Slamovich being the highest rated female on this list as well. Impact Wrestling is good. There's a reason Impact stays around, surprisingly enough, because they are actually pretty talented. They may not sell out arenas like an AEW or a WWE, but if you want quality wrestling with pretty decent and consistent storylines, watch Impact. You're not going to be disappointed. I've seen a couple of Impact pay-per-views. I enjoy them.
Somebody see a clip of this. I want a clip of King Ricky admitting that Impact Wrestling is awesome, basically. I
never denied that Impact Wrestling does have its good moments. I just also call Impact Wrestling the roach that just doesn't die. Like the roach that... It's the cockroach that survives the apocalypse sometimes. Like, I understand that.
Especially with the Dixie Carter era, I agree with that logic.
So, yes, in the 33 years of the PWI 500, there's only a couple of people who have been number one multiple times. Seth Rollins actually ties for the most number ones with his third time at number one. And so the entire list of the PWI 500 started in 1991 with the number one wrestler in the world known as HH Brother, that guy. 92 was Surfer Sting. 93 and 94 Bret Hart. 95 Diesel, because he was not Kevin Nash yet. 96 the Heartbreak Kid. 97 Dean Malenko. Who knew?
Oh, shit.
98 and 99 Stone Cold Steve Austin. 2001 Drink Your Milk Kurt Angle. 2002 Rob Van Dam. 2003 the next big thing Brock Lesnar. 2004 based on wrestling talent alone Chris Benoit, if that makes sense. 2005 Batista, 2006, 2007, John Cena, 2008, Randy Orton, 2009, Triple H, 2010, the phenomenal AJ Styles. The biggest outlier of all of them, 2011, The Miz was the number one rated wrestler in
You kidding?
okay in the PWI 500.
That has to be a troll.
No,
What
it's
the
not.
Oh my god.
No, it's not. 2012 CM Punk when he was actually relevant and not a piece of crap. 2013 John Cena. 2014 Daniel Bryan, not Bryan Danielson. 2015 sees the first showing of Seth Rollins. 2016 Roman Reigns. 2017, The Rainmaker. That's all you gotta say. 2018, Kenny Omega. 2019, Seth Rollins. 2020, John Moxley. 2021, one that I was very against him being the number one, Kenny Omega, because I thought Roman Reigns had the better year. 2022, Roman Reigns did become the number one. And 2023, this year, Seth freaking Rollins. That's the history. So Seth is tied with John Cena for the most times at number one.
That is crazy. But that also just shows that this dude knows how to stay relevant. I mean, I'm looking at those. What were the years that Seth Rollins won them? Was it?
It's every 4 years since he debuted the first time. He was number one on 2015. 4 years later, 2019, he's number one. 4 years later, 2023, he's number one. Okay, so think about this. 2015, that's Blonde Streak Shield Seth. Okay. I broke up with Shield, but I'm buying in Seth. 2019 is Messiah Seth. That's Monday Night Messiah Seth Rollins.
Oh, that was. I think actually 2019 was when he was. 2019 was 35. So that was when he was the Universal Champion.
That too.
And oh no! And I just remembered that was also Fiend and Seth at Hell in a Cell.
Listen, it's still number one. And then now 2023, you have Seth freaking Rollins. So this man reinvents himself and finds a way to become the number one wrestler in the world. That is something to behold.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And honestly, the fact that he's in the same conversation as John Cena, at least within the PW Illustrated deal, that's saying a lot. That says that he is a guy who knows how to reinvent himself and stay relevant, which can be very difficult in wrestling. But he's done that 3 times, basically stating, hey, I'm the best.
Yeah, and that is something to be said for his legacy when he goes into the Hall of Fame, because he's going into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Seth Rollins and everybody else who made the PWI 500. Moving over back to AEW, some news came out, and this is coming. Some of this news was first broke by Fightful, as well as vetted by Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast, a good friend of the show. Shout out to Andrew Zarian and the Mat Men in particular. It is the belief right now that AEW will be moving to having streaming content, whether that be Dynamite and Collision and Rampage and all that, whether that's going to be moving over to Max, formerly known as HBO Max, but no one really calls it Max. We're just going to call it HBO Max. There's the belief that AEW is going to be putting streaming content on HBO Max. In particular, the idea is that not only is that going to happen, but AEW is going to move to probably a 12-month pay-per-view format, or PLE format, as in WWE does for the most part, although WWE, I think, has eliminated the December PLE at this point. But AEW is going to move away from these sporadic pay-per-views to a more consistent month-by-month basis. And this was kind of hinted at, because we literally went from All In, All Out, now we're getting Wrestle Dream in a couple of weeks. So this is the movement. On top of that, it was also confirmed as well that Max, in general, HBO Max or Max, is going to be putting a live tier section, a live sports tier section to Max, and they're going to call it Bleacher Report because that's what they own anyways. So the idea is that Bleacher Report is going to be an added service to Max, but there is going to be a promotional 6-month period where current subscribers of Max will get it for free until they block it with a paywall for the great price of $9.99 a month. added on to the subscription. And so the belief is potentially AEW may be under that Bleacher Report banner. So there's a lot to digest here. The fact of the matter is, in my opinion, this is a long time coming. AEW is owned by Warner and all of that. They had Max. This should have, in my opinion, this should have happened earlier. However, I also know from a technical standpoint, it's one thing to have a library of stuff that you can watch, like Netflix, where you can just like, oh, I have this, I can watch this. It's a totally, completely different monster to have the technology to put on a live streaming event. And that takes time and infrastructure and people to do. But it seems like this is coming down the pipe for AEW. And for me, and me only, I think this is a net positive for AEW. I feel like it will get more eyes on the product. It'll sure get me to watch more consistently, if that is the case. And I think only benefits could come from this. The monthly pay-per-view event, I don't know how that's going to go for them, but we'll see how it is. But I think this is a positive thing and probably a long time coming for them. If it does happen to really move over here, I'll watch a little bit more AEW. I'm not going to lie. I'm hopeful that this does occur to them because I think this can only benefit them. But Nate, what are your thoughts on this possible AEW going to essentially their own streaming service in HBO Max?
So first of all, fuck Bleacher Report because they were such a pain in the ass to try and get onto a TV. It's just so hard trying to get from like a computer or from an iPad to like a TV section just doing there. So honestly, this is basically like a hallelujah moment because at least now you can actually watch it on a streaming service as well as on something that will probably not crash as much because Bleacher Report, I don't know what the hell went on with them, but I know there were a lot of people that were in the comments section in the chat room just being like, fuck this app. Why can't I get this on the big T? Why me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? So, just the common stuff nowadays that we get complaints about. But I agree. No, this is a long time coming, and honestly, I'm surprised that they have not done this sooner. But at the same time, unlike with like WWE where they have such a huge video library where they have all of the classic and territory video archives in their system. They have a lot of stuff that is coming in here because now they not only have, with AEW, they also have some of their one-off deals. I mean, you have to remember they also had some of their random series like what was the one with the roads? It was like Journey to the Roads.
Wasn't like Roads? I don't want to say
like
it was
that.
Roads to Glory or something like that. But I know what you're talking about.
It
was like
the
Miz.
I mean,
It was like the Miz and Misses of AEW.
I'm sorry, but nothing can replace the Miz and Misses, and I will fight anybody on
I'll
that.
be
Miz and
right.
Misses is
I'll be
amazing.
right by your side, fighting as well.
But also the fact that the Mizanin family is probably going to populate like a bunch of rabbits is kind of amazing. Like you said, it's a long time coming. The fact they also got Ring of Honor, so they got
This
a huge
is where
library
you can
there
put the
as
Ring
well.
of Honor library.
Just Axe Otter Club, put it on the streaming service.
Yeah. Honestly, it's perfect for them. Creatively, I think they will have a problem moving to this.
Why is that?
It's
Ricky?
because it's when you're doing 4 or 5 major shows a year, you have the freedom creatively to essentially just let some weeks go by the wayside and be like, screw it, we can just build it later. And when you go to a more consistent monthly pay-per-view schedule or premium live event schedule, as soon as one event's over, you have to automatically start building to the next event. It is very fast paced. The turnover, like once the event's over, it's like, okay, what are we doing next month? And it'll get to the point where you almost have to plan 3 events at the same time. Because there's no downtime. Like, they can't say, oh, we're going to take a couple weeks off and then start to build to something more. That's not the case. That will not be the case if they move to that schedule. It's got to be story after story after story, and there's going to be growing pains with that. I'm assuming when WWE started expanding to that, there were growing pains with that too. So it is something that they're going to have to adjust to, and I think it's going to be rough for them.
And I will say this might be the first time we can document this. I disagree
Really?
with that.
Ooh,
Because
I wanna hear this.
So you have to bear in mind that AEW has been doing not only their big pay-per-view shows, but they've also been doing specials ever since the company has come to
That's
be.
true.
So they have that kind of deal where they just like, okay, we got this pay-per-view done. Now we got, Fighter Fest, Fight for the Fallen. We got all these other big shows that are coming up for that. So they could find a way to adjust it from what they had, but now they have a reason to now put more thought into some of these stories instead of it being a deal where it's just like, it's still a smaller show. We'll make it a big match, but we're not going to put too much stories investment in. Now, hopefully, it's going to wake their minds up and be like, okay, we have this deal now. We have this, next big event. We have some kind of story that goes on with it, and honestly, that might help them do, prolonged booking to where they can say, okay, we have something set up in the show that can go into the next show. Obviously, you can't do like a freaking Royal Rumble or something like that because that's copyright, obviously. But you still have other ways that you can do it. You have a casino battle royale. Why have we not seen that as of late?
I love the casino battle royale concept. I think that's one of the smartest things they did.
It's great. It's one of those things where, again, why have they not done that? But that's beyond me, and I don't own the company, so somebody else will figure it out. You have like the eliminator tournament. There is another thing. You could have a freaking pay-per-view be a complete tournament and just maybe sprinkle in a couple of random matches in there. Fucking King of the Ring worked that way. Why not have AEW do something like that? Grand Slam could be a tournament for all I care at this point.
Seriously. I mean, to your point, they have a lot of, and this is one of my gripes with AEW for a very, very long time. They have what? Sorry, it's breaking news. Ray Phoenix beat Jon Moxley.
Whoa,
clean.
They're giving it to Takeshita.
He beat him clean as a whistle too.
Oh my
wow.
Gosh,
there's got to be something. John might be hurt. Because that's a shocker and a half right there. But congratulations to Ray Phoenix, by the way. He is a phenomenal performer. But back to what I was saying, my biggest gripe with AEW is that they had all these seemingly they botched the finish. Okay, they had all these seemingly. Of course they did. You can't have two good things can't happen to AEW. Okay. AEW seemingly always had these Dynamite specials that could have been something bigger, and that's always been one of my gripes with AEW. Was like, you're wasting these special attraction things on Wednesday nights when you could make more money over this. And so I do believe there are going to be some things that will transition from just a random Dynamite special that they've had every year to something bigger, like a monthly pay-per-view. For instance, Grand Slam writes itself. Grand Slam should be one. Fighter Fest, like you said, could be a great weekend of wrestling, a Saturday, Sunday weekend of wrestling for AEW. Winter is Coming could be one too. Didn't they have New Year's Bash a couple of times?
Something like that. I think they tried to do like a Bash at the Beach,
which they couldn't do
too,
because WWE has it copyrighted. They had a St. Patrick's Day one too, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Honestly, if it's like a holiday-based one, I guarantee they'd probably had something with it. I'm surprised they've not dipped into the TNA deal and just brought the turkey bowl into the deal.
Yeah, no. So I'm excited for them because, to your point, and it was a good point. They have the ideas because they've pretty much experimented with them on Dynamite. Now you just got to make them events. Yes. And I think that's good. And of all of them, Grand Slam is an easy pay-per-view to do. You have the arena. You already have the time frame. Just move it from Wednesday, put it on Sunday. You know what I mean? It'll be great. I'll show up. Hell, make it a big deal. And And I like it. Outside of that, like I said, Fighter Fest could easily move over. Blood and Guts, there we go. Blood and Guts, right there. Blood and Guts easily. Like it's their Extreme Rules pay-per-view. You are correct. There's a lot of stuff that they can do for that, and I hope they do move a lot of that stuff over, because that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You do not have to reinvent it. You just have to make it bigger.
And just imagine this: if they were to do another Fight for the Fallen, they could have like some of the proceeds from the subscriptions or from the merchandise deal go to the cause that they were probably promoting.
It was something in Jacksonville that I know they were doing. I think there was a shooting or something at a mall.
I think that I always thought the Fight for the Fallen was always something that was like in memoriam to either like troops or some kind of big event that was going on, or not a big event, big tragedy that was going on. That was a poor choice of words. But yeah, no, I feel like, and this is really sad for me to say, there's a lot of negativity that goes on in this world, that Fight for the Fallen would be one that would make
honestly
sense.
A charity pay-per-view that was a big deal would be a great move, because that is actually something WWE doesn't do. Tribute for the Troops doesn't count. No,
it does not.
It doesn't, but like an actual, like essentially a charity pay-per-view that was part of your rotation. Like Tribute for the Troops is a TV special. And I do like what they do. They do, go overseas to where some of our armed forces are based at somewhere, and they do put on a show directly in front of them. Usually. But to have something of that magnitude, like a Fight for the Fallen, and have it as like their yearly thing, I think that would be a great move. Great PR, and just it would just be a fun event, I think, in general, for everybody involved. And they can even change up the charity depending on where they put the event. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. So,
honestly, another great event would be something that involves the Owen Hart Cup. Honestly,
the Owen Hart Cup could be your tournament pay-per-view.
There we go.
It's literally, even though I hate the
AEW, this shit writes itself.
It does.
Pay us.
It is very simple. Although I hate the fact that they're using Owen Hart's name as a thing. That's another gripe of mine. But I get it. Martha Hart hates WWE. I get it. And she has the rights to his name. It's always seemed very exploitive for me.
No, I totally get that. But for me, looking at like the glass half full deal, at least Owen Hart's legacy is being
recognized,
honored recognized in some sort of way, just like the Owen Hart Foundation.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. So yeah, good luck to AEW. I hope this does move forward. Hopefully in 2024, because I think it's.
I can't wait for that graphic to show up. That HBO Max is all it needs.
Actually, I would love to see that graphic. That would be really, really cool. That would be really cool. So let's move on from that to the greatest shocker of the last 2 weeks, baby. Nia Jax came to make everybody really, really mad. Like really, really mad, except for me. Nia Jax returned literally out of nowhere to take out Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez during their main event match, which was essentially the final match and the final Raw, where the McMahon family was in full control of WWE. Ironically enough.
I know, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, wow, it ends with the women's match.
Yeah,
that's so.
It is very, very, very much irony, because you know how poorly Mr. McMahon himself, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, has treated women historically on his product.
Vincenzo.
On his product, I will say that. The rumor is that as soon as Vince finagled his way back into power into WWE, Nia Jax was apparently the first signee. So she had been signed for a while, and it looks like. It appears that Nia, from what I can see visually, she looks like she's in good shape. I'll give her that. She looks like she did drop some weight. I know the concern's always been about, is she going to injure people in the ring? But my counter to that is, if we can allow Ridge Holland to still wrestle while pretty much ending Big E's career, we can let Nia Jax off the hook for a couple of bad punches where the people are still wrestling.
Wasn't there also one with Kairi Sane where she powerbombed him into the was it the steps or was it the turnbuckle or something like that? I can't remember exactly, but I also found funny. Somebody actually brought up a good point that Kyrie was talking about possibly coming back to WWE, and now it's probably one of those things she sees Nia. It's like, hey, Stardom, can we talk just for a minute?
But here's the thing. I don't understand. Like, I understand the Nia heat to an extent, but, like, there have been performers that have done worse to people. Ridge Holland being one. Seth Rollins almost ended 2 careers in a 3-month period. Hell, for a while, Brie Bella was one of the most dangerous people to work with. Enzo Amore,
And Eva Marie, she makes me want to turn off my TV every time I see her.
Fact of the matter is,
anyway,
this is professional wrestling. This isn't as much as you can choreograph it, mistakes will happen. One of the greatest mistakes of all time was Nia Jax knocking out Becky Lynch, and without that happening, we don't get the Becky Lynch we do see today. I can guarantee that. Without the bloody Becky moment, which was a massive mistake. It was not supposed to happen. But without that moment, we don't get the Becky Lynch who main events WrestleMania. So thank you, Nia, for that. I appreciate that. Listen, I understand the concern. But if we're going to have concern for Nia, I would have concern for Riz. I would have concern for Seth. I would have concern for everybody else. Hell, I'd have concern for Edge. Edge ended somebody's career in his first match ever on TV. Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard this part.
So there's got to be a little bit of grace. If we're going to give grace to these other performers, we should also give grace to Nia and also have the optimism here that she has gotten better. It looks like she's gotten better in the ring. It looks like she's in much, much better shape than when she first started. And it looks like they're building to something. Listen, the WWE Women's Division is getting really good again. And I'm not even going to talk about a baddie that might join because I'm not going to, really put myself into the dirt sheet talking here. I'll wait till she potentially shows up on TV. But adding Nia to this division, who already has Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, who might be in trouble if Nia's back, just spot on the card wise, Bayley, Io Shirai, Dakota Kai still injured, Bianca Belair, who's on a break but coming back, Charlotte Flair. This is a great division again. And Nia only makes this better. Creates a very, very different hierarchy. And we're not even talking about the women in NXT that are coming up. Your Roxanne Perez's, your Gigi Dolan's, your JC Janes, your Lyra Valkyria, your Fallons, all of them as well, up the pipe. Nia Jax is a big get. A big get, especially if she's improved in the ring, which it looks like she does. She's a big get. It's something that the other brands don't have. And the other thing about it is, they're building something with her. They're building a story. She's essentially going to be the baddest of the bad, the Annihilator. I also love that they gave her the bonsai drop. There's a lot you can do with Nia. She's obviously going around and taking people out, which is one of the greatest Triple H troll jobs I've ever seen. Like, oh, you're mad that she injures people? Well, we're just going to have her kayfabe injure people.
Okay, that's fair.
But there's a lot you can do with Nia. She could just be on this rampage where you never know where she's going to show up, which I like because it builds intrigue and gets people talking. She can also be one of the bloodline. She could be the heavy of the bloodline. She is the female Solo. And I've been cramming for a female member of the bloodline. I thought it was going to be Trinity for a while, but she obviously got unfortunately released. But Nia Jax can slip into that role real well. Real well. There's a lot you can do with Nia. I'm optimistic for what she can do. I know you, because we talked about this before, Nate. I know you're not as excited for Nia, but I wanted to get my semi-excitement for Nia Jax. But what are your reservations with Nia outside of her history or of potentially hurting people in the ring?
So, other than that, I don't know. It's really she has a very interesting
She
presence in the
does.
ring. Um, it's really weird because they tried having her as a heel, and I think that's where she definitely excels
Yeah.
more. But then they tried to make her a babyface, and that just didn't work. And then after she went back to being heel again, something just didn't click. I don't know what exactly it was. And then we mentioned, of course, she's done the injuries. She had that whole deal with Charlotte, which, dear Lord, that was the thing.
Charlotte's not an angel either.
There was
Charlotte's got an attitude issue from time to time.
no, that I agree with. That I totally agree with. I mean, she literally has her Charlotte in the bank like every single time she comes back. It's like, hey, I want a title shot. Okay, I'm getting it. Cool.
I'm gonna start calling it
Um,
Charlotte in the Bank. She's officially cashing it.
it's I mean, that's literally what it is. Here comes a champion. Here comes Charlotte. Oh, she's cashing in. Damn it. She literally went to her dad's like, hey, can I have some money so I can cash in a opportunity at a title? Anyway, getting back to Nia Jax, I will also say that she does have one of the best comedic moments of all time, inadvertently, where she landed on the apron. She went, my hole. Just, I will say that was probably one of her highlights of her career, even though that
I
was
don't know if
so
she's intentional,
unintentional.
but I think she is unintentionally funny.
I agree with that. I can definitely get behind that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the disconnect for me with her that just stands out. Like I said, I just don't know if there's anything where it's like relatability or something where it's like, yeah, I want to see her, you know, be this heel. I want to see her be this baby. It's just something that's like, I just got nothing. I just really don't have anything where it's just kind of like, yeah, I want to see her succeed. I'm just kind of like, she's kind of there at this point. And like I said, it wasn't always that way. When she had the feud with Alexa Bliss, I thought, oh, okay, this actually makes
I was
sense.
very into her
Then
Alexa
after that,
Bliss feud because I think it came from a real place, and I think it was a well
yeah,
written story. Like I remember going into the WrestleMania, that's a match people wanted to see. Like
yeah,
she was
no,
hot for that, and
it was like a female version of Diesel versus Shawn Michaels,
kind of. But
basically.
you had the whole bullying and body image thing, which is a great story to tell for women, especially coming from. If anybody's ever listened to or heard Alexa Bliss's story growing up with an eating disorder, so to have that kind of flipped and turn it to Nia, I think was a cool thing to do, and a really good moment. I think the issue with that was that she plateaued winning that title, and they couldn't do anything with her. Because you're right, she's a much better heel.
Yeah. So maybe I'll give Nia a little bit of leeway because you do bring up some good points that she could definitely be somebody who is, obviously, no pun intended, a game changer in the women's division again. But it's just kind of one of those things like I want to see how she does here. If she's doing this deal where she's beating up them, she's good at that.
Yeah.
She really is.
You also got to give Rhea some
And I will
competition.
say that is very true because she's gone through basically everybody except for Raquel, who's actually been giving Rhea some really good
Yeah.
matches. Now it's like, okay, we're going from Raquel to Nia. I have my reservations because I really like Raquel and Rhea. I kind of want them to do a best of 7 series now.
Yeah,
That's
no,
just
very good.
me.
The thing with everybody needs a good dancer, and sometimes you're only as good as the person across from you. And Rhea has been,
Takes 2 to
yeah,
tango.
yeah, and Rhea's been dominating everybody, and Raquel's been doing great, but it's just not there yet. And you gotta outside of Raquel, Rhea's decimated everybody. So Nia brings a whole different issue to it. I also love that they gave Nia the bonsai drop.
I assume so many people on the internet love that.
Listen, Yokozuna was a Samoan. He was not Japanese. So
It's true.
Yokozuna is if Yokozuna was still living, he would be the head of the table. Like
Yes, he
lineage
would.
wise, he
I
would be the
agree.
guy. And Naya is obviously part of that giant Samoan lineage, so to give her the bonsai and calling it the Annihilator, great move, like great move by everybody involved there. I'm interested to see where this goes with her. My only switch would have been I would have had her as this crazy free agent. Like if we really want to gauge,
Yeah.
where to put Nia, if you don't want to put her with Rhea, have her mess up everybody in every division. I'm talking NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Have her destroy everybody until someone signs her, and see.
Have her basically Scott Steiner it. I know the second time I said Scott Steiner on this show, but he's done a lot of great work. But yeah, I could see that, and I think that would have been really good to have her, like you said, just go to Raw, mess up a couple matches there. Honest to God, with the fact that there are so many like smaller men on the NXT roster, she would literally go to NXT and just throw them into the crowd.
I would love her to
love
destroy
see that.
Metaphor. That would be hysterical to me.
Oh my gosh, and even like to tease people, be like, oh, we could see Rhea versus Nia, where there's just a North American title match where she just literally does the bonsai. Oh my god, it writes itself again. She bonsai drops Dominic. And mommy not happy.
I would love her to bonsai drop. Like I would love for, and this would be something they've never done outside of China doing. I would love Dominic. The story should be Dominic avenges Rhea. He puts his NXT North American title on the line against Nia. Nia wins the North American Championship. That would, it would tick a lot of people off, but maybe not because it's Dom. But it would get people talking. I don't know where you go after that, but it would get people talking, and that's all wrestling is all about.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with China and Jeff Jarrett. It's just like people didn't like Jeff, so that's kind of her, that's kind of her deal. Where it's just like, yeah, you know, we have a woman as the IC champion, but at least it's not Jeff Jarrett.
Very true. By the way, also what Fretch was saying, Moxley might be hurt, which means they might have called it on the fly. So hopefully he's better with that. Paige retained, by the way, beating Tony Storm like we really thought. But let's move on from Nia, and welcome back, Nia Jax. By the way, I'm very happy to see you, unlike some other people. And also, congratulations to Becky Lynch, who is doing her best to avoid Nia Jax and going to NXT.
There's a WrestleMania match right there.
Listen, we never got Nia Becky. And I don't know if there was any real heat there. I don't think there was from what I've heard of Becky. I think Becky understood it was a mistake, you know. And Becky benefited the best of anybody in that situation. But congratulations to Becky Lynch in a kind of a weird turn of events of a botched promo becoming a program. Okay. Let's recap here. Tiffany Stratton came out on NXT one week saying she's the greatest women's champion of all time, saying that she was better than Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte, and she said Becky. And Becky Lynch responded on Twitter, because no one calls it X, saying, I haven't been the champion yet. Then we have Tiffy showing up on SmackDown, Tiffy showing up at Payback, you know, to mess with Becky. Becky comes to NXT, challenges Tiffy, and they put on a hell of a match, by the way. Like, if you're not a Tiffany Stratton fan after her match with Becky Lynch, I don't know what's the matter with you. They put on a hell of a match. Becky won, which I thought was premature. However, Becky completes her, I think she's Grand Slam Bex now. Grand Slam Bex. Her N-Bex t-shirt has a little bit of a lemon thing with it, which is, again, really funny. And she is the NXT Women's Champion. I think she's defending the title. She defended the title against Natty. Mox left on his own through the crowd. Interesting. She defended the title against Natty on Raw. Dominic Mysterio is putting his NXT North American title up against Dragon Lee next week on Raw, by the way. Which the NXT infusion randomly into Raw and SmackDown is absolutely brilliant for everybody involved. So I don't have too many gripes about that. But now we're also getting Becky, who's going to headline NXT's No Mercy, which thank God they've kept No Mercy. NXT's No Mercy in an Extreme Rules match with Tiffany Stratton for this title. This got announced announced at the end of the show. Very excited for that. I'm a big Tiffany Stratton fan. I've seen her perform at the other PLEs. I think she's phenomenal. She is everything Trish Stratus was supposed to be, which is saying a lot. You know, she is a more athletic Trish Stratus. And Becky kind of breaking her into what will be probably her four-way into the main roster is perfect. I am excited for this. I'm excited for this match. What are your thoughts, Nate, on Becky Lynch finally being the NXT champion and finally having all 4 horsewomen hold the NXT title?
It adds so much more prestige to that championship to say that finally all 4,
Yeah.
you know, of the women that are pillars in the original NXT finally have held that championship. I do agree. I feel like this championship win was premature. They probably could have gone a little bit further down the deal. Maybe have Tiffany win by like a DQ.
I would have done Dusty Finish
like
to kick it off. I would have too.
Oh gosh, that honestly, I feel like that would have worked. I think that would have worked where they did that Dusty Finish. Somehow Tiffany pulls that off.
Dusty Finish to
they have the
Extreme Rules
rematch
at No Mercy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
That's how I would have done it.
But yeah, but no, I'm happy for Becky. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it being happening this fast because I think it does kind of put a damper on Tiffany's credibility a little bit. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like it's the veteran versus the rookie. That the story is kind of there where she definitely underestimated Becky, and it cost her in the end. So that could be the story kind of going into No Mercy is that now she's focused and she's maybe taking the time to look at some of Becky's matches and got a chance to see, okay, well, maybe I can counter this, something like this, something that they could have done with Jinder Mahal. But no, they just figured, Jinder, he need to be bad guy. He no need new move. We bring in 2 little men to have them get beat up and then do the Dream Street because we don't need Ted DiBiase.
Listen, man.
Ted DiBiase, damn it.
You cannot hinder one of the greatest championship runs of all time in the Jinder Mahal championship run. I have never been a bigger troll in wrestling than being such a Jinder mark during that time in WWE history. Yeah, he is a Canadian. He is a Canadian. That's what we called him. He is a Canadian icon in Jinder Mahal. Oh, man, what a guy. What a guy, and what a reign. The 50th ever different WWE champion. Nonetheless, like, he is number 50 out of everybody. Listen, and the Singh brothers did their job. The Singh brothers earned every paycheck. Like, no one can say it, but they didn't earn it because they earned it. I saw Randy Orton annihilate these men on a monthly basis.
Sexual relish. Just that first one where he just drops the guy on the table on his head. He's just like, whoops.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no.
So basically what you're saying is that we need to have like a Mean Girls deal where Tiffany has like 2 random women just kind of help out and they just kind of get the shit beat out.
Yeah, she already had Kiana James help her.
Oh, there we go.
You know, so it's fine. But
like Mean Girls in wrestling, that's actually stupid, but I kind of think that would be a great idea for her.
Tiffany Stratton is essentially just a Barbie / Mean Girl. Like I love her character, but it's one of those things where like she's supposed to be like an annoying heel, but she's so good in the ring that you kind of want to root for her. Like she may have the prettiest moonsault in all of wrestling.
It's one of those, it's like prettiest moonsault ever, I think it's called.
Something like that.
Somewhere Christopher Daniels is watching this and he's just like, okay, you know what? That's a pretty moonsault.
I'm not like you. I don't think people understand, and you would know because you've been in the ring. She is literally jumping with her full body from like ring post, like from the first rope, second rope, third rope, and then moonsaulting. That's extremely difficult.
Yeah, you have to have the right kind of like timing. You have to have the right kind of athleticism. Just it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not. There's a reason why you will never see a banana slide in my entire career.
Yeah, to have that just natural ability, like I love her finisher. It's so, no pun intended. It's so pretty to watch. It is very pretty. Um,
It's it's pretty deadly if you know what I'm
yes,
saying.
boy, yes,
Oh
boy.
no! Don't put her with pretty deadly. Don't. I don't think that's a good. Well,
It could work.
maybe,
It could work.
maybe. She's the Alexa Bliss to their Buddy and
It
Murphy.
honestly could work in a very, very weird way. I'm excited for Pretty Deadly to return because I know Pretty Deadly has learned from the New Day and Xavier Woods in particular, who I believe pretty much told them be as ridiculous as possible. And I was like, they get it now. I was like, it's not that you're like annoying; it's that you're ridiculous. And if you the more ridiculous Pretty Deadly gets, the more entertaining they'll be. Like the fact that on SmackDown they still have, I think it was Kit Wilson in the wheelchair, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be back soon." And Adam Pearce is like, "What are you doing in a wheelchair? I thought your arm was injured." They're like, "What are you talking about? There's trauma involved with this." I was like, "This is so stupid, but it so works." I wish all the best to Pretty Deadly, and also wish all the best to Becky Lynch in this run. Because to be honest with you, without the advent of a mid-card women's title on the main roster, and where else is Becky going to go right now? It's perfect. This is perfect for her. Although, with the potential addition of some future wrestling talent, in particular Baddie, we may get a women's mid card title sooner than later. I have hopes for this, but that's all I'm going to comment about that. But I have hopes that there might be another women's title on the main roster that can be utilized so that we don't have to have our talents like Becky Lynch and other people go down to compete for essentially the secondary women's title in NXT. And we can leave that as kind of a stepping stone for the future talent to come in.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You know, we're saying Mox suffered a concussion. That's not good.
Oh no,
That's
no.
not good at all. Not good at all. So, that could mean some time off, which is fine. Mox, you're number 3 ranked wrestler in the world for the next year. You can relax a little. Like,
just, just a little bit, because definitely don't need him suffering any more CTE. He
definitely already has. And it is a shame because I was very excited to see what he would do with this international title, because the international title is on the way to being something big with him. So hopefully he does get better. And long may Becky Lynch's reign, because I think, as however long it is, she's going to do a lot of good down there in NXT. She really is. Especially with ratings. Speaking of ratings, we're done for this week. We have finally finished. I first and foremost, Nate, want to thank you so much for coming in the clutch literally hours before I was supposed to go on air with no host whatsoever, and you came in the clutch, and I feel like we put on a pretty great, fantastic show. Thank you again for joining me and to talk wrestling with me for the last hour and 40 minutes and some change and such. So the floor is yours right now, Mr. Nate. Plug anything you want. Where can they find you? Talk about your show. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the comments and the conversations on this show, you'll enjoy Brace for Impact, where recently I've been talking about TNA, the early days and going on from there. Recent episode I did was No Surrender 2008, which I have said is probably one of the most underwhelming shows I've seen for TNA since I started this deal, which is saying a lot because I also had to deal with a weird casket match style deal with Abyss and Sting, but that's for another episode you'll have to listen into. Definitely check that out on all of our platforms. The next show I'll be reviewing is actually going to be Bound for Glory, which is going to be important because it's going to feature the Genesis 3 simple letters. So definitely tune into that. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at RealFNGame. where you can just tell me about your favorite TNA moments or just talk about wrestling. We got our merchandise that you guys definitely need to just look at, enjoy it. It's absolutely amazing. Uh, I love the fact that I get to talk with King Ricky here. And I said to him, as soon as we confirmed that we were going to be doing this, I said, oh, sweet, I get to do my intro again. I am totally for this. So it's always it's like my ecstasy. Literally every single time it's like, oh, I get to do a King of the Ring deal. Yes, I get to do my King Ricky deal. Yay! Happy day for me. Also, and I say this because one Mr. Zachary from the Young Lions perspective always likes to promote this. I am the current Midwest Cyber Wrestling champion over in Rockford. And we're actually having our first show this Saturday in Rockford, Illinois. So I will be posting a lot about that. I have my first title defense against the Priest of Pain. It's going to be an absolutely unforgettable show. So definitely, if you got a chance to, I will definitely suggest going on Facebook, checking that out. It's called Cyber Zone, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely wanted to give a nice little plug on that. But yeah, so many great things in wrestling, and I love the chance to come on and talk to great people like Ricky, like Fretz. And I will tell you guys this, that the season for Brace for Impact, this one, is coming to a close. Next season, I can tell you this right now, there's going to be more than one voice on the show. You're going to not want to miss that.
Our family's getting bigger. I enjoy this.
I will also say this, that one voice I really want to have on the show is one, and hopefully we find him, because he's still missing, one Willie T, because I know how much of a mark he is for TNA as well. So
yeah, can you believe his entry point into pro wrestling was TNA?
What was his first match that he saw? Did he
I don't recall. You're gonna have to ask him. That'll be
right.
an interesting thing to talk about as well. But until then, folks, let's get VF out of here, shall we? Well, since you did all your plugs, I should just do mine, Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Kings of the Rings podcast, episode number 354, Total Annihilation. This episode was about to be totally annihilated until I got a game changer in Nate the Effing Great showing up in the clutch hours before to make sure that this show went off without a hitch. So again, thank you so much, Nate, host of the Brace for Impact podcast, coming out with episodes every other Tuesday on Wrestle Addict Radio. Kings of the Rings podcast you can find at KOTR _podcast across all social media outlets. Like, share, subscribe, leave us 5-star reviews if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting service or podcasting app. Make sure you're subscribing to Wrestle Addict Radio on your favorite podcasting app as well, and follow Wrestle Addict Radio socials at addict_wrestle on Twitter and Wrestle Addict Radio everywhere else. You can find me, King Ricky Rose, at Ambassador Biggs across all social media outlets whenever I decide to return. It's not going to be this year. The links to all of that are going to be in the description below, including some of our awesome merchandise, our Patreon, and most importantly, our Discord, where you can chat with us pretty much 24/7, even during work, because some of us, like myself, work remote. The links to all of that are in the description below. When we come back next week, I might have new hosts because my current ones are wildly unreliable. But when we come back next week, Nia Jax will probably have taken out somebody. AEW will probably put on another random Dynamite episode. WWE is not going to merge with somebody else. Becky Lynch is still going to be the NXT Women's Champion, and everything in between that may happen going on in the world of wrestling. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. Nate, thank you so much yet again. We will see you next week. Goodbye, good night. And if I ever have to put Slack on this show as a special guest, that'll be the final show ever, because fuck you, Slack.
Fuck you,
yeah,
Slack.
We'll see you next week. Yeah. Can't wait to put all of this up in all the music backdrop. The live stream is going to be so dead. But I can't wait to add the music in post. It's going to be a pretty good time. So I don't know if you actually stuck around for the post show. I know Fretz does, but we like to play this game that I added, because usually our post show, besides our seeing all of the greatest tweets in the history of wrestling Twitter for the last couple of weeks, but I started to switch it up because we would just talk and say whatever. And there's a picture of Vince being a absolute fool, with that mustache.
You
Yeah.
fool.
We also have started playing a game that my favorite game in the history of Reddit, which is really weird to say, but it's called Am I the Asshole? So
Oh my god, it sounds amazing. Okay, so I will tell you this: I want to play this game, but I'm also watching Joe and
how's it
MGF,
going, by
and
the way?
MGF had like a so MGF had like a Mets shirt on, and Samoa Joe just ripped it off
As
him.
one
He's got this.
should.
He's literally just wearing Mets gear, and Samoa Joe's just kind of beating the shit out of him. Okay, I'm
MJF
enjoying
would
this.
be a
It's
Mets
kind
fan. That makes total sense to me. Okay,
of
so what do we do is I'm scouring through Reddit currently, and I'm going to find an intriguing title, and we're going to figure out, based on the scenario presented, whether or not this person
okay.
is the asshole. Um, Ooh, this is an easy one. This is all right. This is fun.
It's entitled "Fuck You
Yeah, yeah. I
Slack."
wish, right? So posted 22 hours ago. This one is, and this is the first one. We'll do three, and then I'll let you go because also I have to go and do some editing for this show.
Okay.
But this one is: Am I the asshole for going on vacation without my husband? So that's the title of it. Hold on.
Um.
Let's hear her out.
All
Okay,
right.
my husband, 32, and I, 29, female. It's a male-female relationship. Planned a week vacation to New Orleans in the U.S. Horrible place for couples to go, by the way. But mostly I, have been planning this for months. Back in March, I told him I would plan most of it, where to go and what to do. All he has to do was make sure he had the week off and buy the plane tickets. I spent the last few months researching what to do. I booked a hotel room, made reservations at places we wanted to try. I made a list of all the sites I wanted to see. Every few weeks, I would check in with my husband to see if he had axed off of work and bought the tickets. Yet he would say he was waiting for the plane ticket prices to go down. Smart. 3 weeks ago, I reminded him again. He said he had got off of work for the days but had forgotten to get the tickets. He looked online and the tickets were close to $1,500 per ticket. Where are you? Where do you live? Where going to New Orleans costs you $1,500 a ticket? He said he was going to wait some more to see if they would go down. Pro tip: buy on a Tuesday. It's usually when prices are lowest. Um,
Also, pause for a minute, Ricky, because Samoa Joe just Death Valley drivered MJF on the apron, and he looked sick as
ooh,
hell. Oh my god, that wow! Literally looks like his spine just got
ew,
crumpled.
that's rough.
Anyway,
Yeah,
asshole.
she goes, last week I asked if he had bought them yet, and he said no. We looked again, and the prices were still high. He said he wasn't willing to spend that much on them and asked how much money I would lose if I just canceled everything instead. He offered to have a nice staycation instead. I told him I was not willing to cancel everything because I spent too much time planning it. We argued and we didn't come to a conclusion. I wound up buying just one ticket for myself, and when I flew out Saturday, I told him I was still going, and he acted all surprised that I didn't want to stay home with him. I am in New Orleans now, and he is blowing up my phone saying that I'm an asshole. Oh, you got okay. So I'll tell you why. So my my thought with this is this: they clearly had an agreement where she would
Right.
plan everything, and and then he would be the one to purchase the tickets. And she did her part. He didn't do his. So I would say
Yeah.
she's not the asshole on this one. That's my play on
No,
it.
I agree. It's kind of one of those things where I
Why
can kind of
can't I not
relate
hear you?
because
Give
I
me
think I've
one
had something
second.
like that.
I cannot hear you. You can continue talking. I just, for some reason, cannot hear you. He did drop the ball, Fred, so you're correct.
Yeah, no, I kind of can agree with that because the fact is that Yeah, he didn't do his part, so that's kind of his fault for being. If anything, he's the asshole for not pulling his weight, basically.
Why can't I hear you? Why can't I hear?
Maybe it's on my end. Let me see something.
I don't know. Did you? I can't. For some reason, I cannot hear you, Nate. You didn't mute yourself, did you?
No, I didn't mute myself. Can you hear me now?
No. Technical difficulties. I'm really happy it doesn't happen on the show. Hold on a second, Big Nate. Guest video. Where are you? Now you should be here.
What
Nope.
are we doing here?
Totally lost you.
Let's see here. Why is it not being this
Nate,
way?
Nate. You're coming out. The lights are on, but no one's home for me.
Huh.
Which is very, very weird.
Let me try. Let me try without.
You can hear me, Bo. Fretz, you're gonna have to
Hear me
be a translator. All right, so you can hear him. You can hear us, Bo, which means it is a problem on my end at the moment. So thank you, Fretz. And I don't know what that issue is. But let's figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're here for.
Because for some reason he's frozen on my screen.
Not mono. We're good. We're good. Hold on.
Ooh,
Let's
pile
see
driver.
here.
I
Why are you not on?
God love when technology is so stupid.
Huh. Very interesting. All right. Keep talking. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure this out here. Your video sounds great. I mean, you look fantastic, Nate. But let me see if we can fix this thing right here.
Well, thank you, sir. Just trying to figure
How
out
in the hell did that
what she's
happen?
doing. Oh,
Let's see. All right.
technology, why are you so dumb? Power. Oh shit. Sit out, power bomb. Nice.
Speakers.
Dun 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 dun. Christian and Simba. That's a movie I'd watch.
Okay. Check. Yep, we're good.
I'll say this, Fretz. At least this didn't happen during the show. Where At least this happened after the show, the post-show deal.
Everything seems to be going well. It's just that my computer's being a butt right now.
Computers being a butt. Why is it being a butt? Because Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, I'm not moving on cam either. Wow, we're all messed up right now. Jesus Christ. Right, hold on. All right, we're good there. Let me see. All right, let me see if I can change my video.
Oh,
Still can't hear you.
No, don't. Oh,
Oh,
MGF.
Diamond Ring. The Diamond Ring came out, Freds.
Oh shit.
Good thing I can read. Good thing I read lips. Where am I?
Diamond ring.
All right, let's
Locked
see.
it up.
This out.
And oh my god, Smojo. Oh, if he would have hit the ref, that would have been kind of funny. Oh my!
What a match!
No!
Right.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What's happening?
There we go. Back in the saddle with the video.
One.
Still can't hear you.
Fuck you!
MJF kicked out of the Muscle Buster? Are you insane? You're telling me Samoa Joe pulled out a Muscle Buster and he freaking kicked out of it? That monster.
That.
Alright, let me see what we got here. No, not you. I'm gonna figure this out here.
Try to figure it out. And now, oh please, yes, please, just choke him out, please, please. I want to see this. Please, just This is one of those few times where you're kind of rooting for the villain. It's just like,
Oh, no, I didn't
die!
lost Nate. Oh, no, we're still here. Nope, I might have lost you. There you go, you're back. But still
Alright.
can't freaking hear you.
Am I back?
Go on,
No.
Max.
Oh
All
no,
right,
Adam Cole,
let's see
stop,
what we
man.
got here.
Wait. Throw the towel. Throw the towel. Yes. Throw the towel. Throw the towel.
Oh, yes, yeah, I am
Throw the
back. I just
towel.
can't hear Nate still, which is a
Throw
shame.
the towel. Throw the towel.
Well,
Throw the towel.
you know what that
What the hell's
means?
going on?
Can't have two of us speaking at the same time and silently. You know what, Nate? Can you hear me? Yeah, let's call it a show then, folks. We'll call it a very silent show. I can't even hear Nate say goodbye to me, but we're going to assume Nate's about to say goodbye to me. So we will see you guys later. We'll be fixing our technical difficulties. Thank God this didn't happen during the show. We'll be fixing these technical difficulties another time. So goodbye, good night. Thanks again for joining us. And yeah, fuck you, Slack. See ya.